Okay, get ready, because today we are going deep on this guy, Lev Vygotsky.
Oh, yeah.
A psychologist whose ideas about learning
Right.
are still super relevant even today.
Yeah.
And this was, almost a century ago.
I
You
know.
sent over a ton of articles and blog posts on him.
I did.
So I think our mission here is to try to figure out why he's still such a big deal in the 21st century.
Yeah, I think that's a great goal.
So first off, I was really blown away by how much he did in such a short lifespan.
Yeah.
Born in 1896, died in 1934.
Right.
That's just 37 years.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he was sick a lot of the time.
It's true. He really only had like a decade to focus on his research, which
Wow.
makes his output even more incredible. I mean, 6 books on psychology
Yeah.
alone, plus his work in law, sociology, linguistics, philosophy.
It's like he was in a race against time to get his ideas out there.
He was, and those ideas were groundbreaking, really.
Yeah.
He challenged a lot of the big theories of his time, especially Jean Piaget. P-TICS was all about the stages of development, right?
Like a very individual journey.
Exactly, and Vygotsky just flips the script on all that.
So instead of internal development, he saw learning as something that happens between people.
Exactly.
We're always in this dance of learning with everyone around us.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, that's the heart of his sociocultural theory.
Uh-huh.
Learning isn't just about absorbing information, it's really about the interactions we have, the collaborations, the shared experiences.
It's making me think about all those times I was stuck on something, and then someone explains it a little differently, and then boom, I get it.
Oh, yeah,
Isn't that pure Vygotsky right there?
it totally is.
Yeah.
He'd say those interactions are what unlock the zone of proximal development.
The what?
The ZPD, it's like the sweet spot for learning,
Oh, yeah.
That space between what you can do on your own and what you can do with guidance from someone with more experience.
So it's not about pushing people past their limits. It's more like meeting them where they are.
Yes, exactly. Very personalized.
Like having a guide to help you along the way.
Exactly.
So how does this guide actually help someone move forward in their ZPD?
Well, Vygotsky called it scaffolding. Think of it like the scaffolding you see on buildings,
Uh-huh.
It provides support while you're building, so like offering hints, asking the right questions, modeling the way you think about things, anything that helps close the gap between what the learner can do now and their full potential.
So you're not giving them the answer. You're just giving them enough support so they can figure it out themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like those training wheels on a bike. You take them off once the kid finds their balance.
That's a great analogy.
And it's not just about learning, concrete skills, right?
Right.
It can also be for more abstract stuff, like when a parent is reading to their kid, they slowly introduce harder words and more complicated ideas.
Yeah, that's scaffolding in action.
This is making me rethink how I look at learning.
Yeah,
It's not all about just me trying hard. It's about the people around me and how they help me grow.
that's a big part of it.
And Vygotsky had another big idea tied into all this.
Yeah.
The power of language.
Yes.
He didn't see language as just a way to talk to each other. He saw it as a way we shape our thoughts.
That's right.
So it's more than just saying what we think. It's about how we understand the world around us.
Exactly. Think about how you talk yourself through a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Or when you're getting ready for a speech and you practice it in your head.
Yeah.
That's Vygotsky's idea in action.
Oh.
Language becomes a tool we use inside our own minds.
So the more we talk with other people, the better we can think on our own.
Exactly. I think that's right. Because for Vygotsky, it all goes back to that social interaction.
I see.
Language starts from wanting to connect with others, to learn from each other.
And this learning isn't just in a classroom, right?
Right.
He was really big on play, especially for little kids.
Oh, absolutely.
He saw it as a way for them to try out different roles, to learn about rules, to use abstract thinking.
Right. It's like they make their own little societies, they practice their social skills, their imaginations run wild.
So when kids are pretending to be, doctors or something, they're actually getting ready for more complex thinking later on.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that learning isn't always about textbooks.
Yeah.
It can be messy, it can be fun.
Well, this deep dive is definitely proving to be both of those things.
Good.
I'm already starting to see how Vygotsky's ideas apply to so many different parts of life.
I think we're just getting started.
Okay.
There's a lot more to cover when it comes to his influence, even today.
Wow.
It's huge.
Okay, let's do it. Digging into Vygotsky, I'm seeing he wasn't just focused on how individuals learn.
Right.
He really emphasized how our culture shapes how we think and learn.
Oh, absolutely. His sociocultural theory really brings that home.
Yeah.
Our learning is totally tied up with the values, the beliefs, even just the everyday stuff of the society we're in.
It's like our culture provides this invisible scaffolding for our development.
That's a great way to put it.
And it makes you think, like, different cultures might approach problems in different ways.
No way.
Or maybe even have different ideas about what intelligence even means.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Huh.
Vygotsky was super important for cross-cultural psychology, you know?
Yeah.
He reminded everyone there's no one right way to define how people develop.
So we have to be careful not to just assume our way is the only way.
Totally. We got to recognize and respect those different ways of thinking and understanding.
This makes me think about, well, technology is such a big part of our culture today.
Yeah.
I wonder how Vygotsky would see something like the internet.
Well, remember he talked about those cultural tools.
Right.
Language, symbols, art. He saw them as tools that shape how we think and interact with the world.
Our hammer gives us more physical power. Language gives us more brain power.
Exactly. And I think he would put technology in that category, too.
Oh, interesting.
Smartphones, computers, the whole internet, they change how we get information, how we talk to each other, even how we learn.
But like any tool, it depends how you use it, right?
Totally.
A hammer can build a house, or it can break a window.
Exactly. We have to think carefully about how we use technology for learning, you know?
Yeah.
We got to make sure it's helping people connect and work together, not the opposite.
So it's not just sitting there watching videos. It's about using technology to create, to connect, to collaborate.
Yeah, you got it.
It's about those digital scaffolds that help people learn more deeply.
That's a great way to put it.
I bet Vygotsky would be fascinated by how technology can help us expand our ZPDs,
Oh, yeah.
connect learners across cultures, maybe even create whole new ways of teaching and guiding people.
I think so, too. It's almost like he saw this digital age coming.
Wow.
With all his talk about cultural tools and how social learning is.
It's like he gave us a roadmap for figuring out this crazy, ever-changing world.
It's really incredible how relevant his theories still are.
Yeah.
I mean, the world has changed so much.
It shows how fundamental his ideas really were. That learning isn't just about individual effort. It's about connecting with others, connecting with our culture, and using the tools that shape how we think.
That's it. And he gave us this amazing framework for understanding how those connections work.
Yeah.
The ZPD, scaffolding, the power of language, of play, these are things we can actually use to help people learn better, whether it's in school, at work, or just in our own lives.
It's pretty inspiring to think about how much potential we have to keep learning and growing.
Yeah.
It's not something that just happens to us. We're active participants.
Right, and we're not in it alone.
That's what I love about Vygotsky's work.
Me too.
It shows us that learning is this dynamic, collaborative thing. And we all have the power to shape our own development and help others do the same.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself.
So Vygotsky's theories, they were developed way before the internet even existed.
Right.
But they still feel so relevant to how we learn in this digital world.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm also curious about, how his ideas have been used in like traditional schools.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think one of the biggest impacts is the shift towards collaborative learning.
Oh, interesting.
Vygotsky's focus on the social side of learning really challenged that old way of teaching where the teacher is the only one with the knowledge.
So instead of just, sitting and listening to a lecture,
Right.
students now are encouraged to work together, to share ideas,
Yeah.
to learn from each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, think back to the ZPD, that zone of proximal development.
Right.
When students work together, they actually can help each other learn
Huh.
by providing that support and guidance within their own individual zones.
So it's like they kind of become each other's guides,
Right.
like helping each other navigate that learning journey.
That's a great way to think about it. Yeah.
And, I've seen research that says that kind of collaborative learning really helps students understand things better.
Oh, yeah.
They get better at solving problems, and they even feel more motivated to learn.
Yeah, it makes sense if you think about it. If
Right.
you have to explain something to someone else.
Right? Or work with them to solve a problem.
Huh?
You really have to understand it at a deeper level.
Yeah, you have to think about it differently.
And it's not just about group work, right?
Yeah. Hey.
Vygotsky also, his ideas led to, more focus on differentiated instruction. What's that?
Differentiated instruction, it means recognizing that each student comes to class with different strengths, different challenges, different experiences,
So it's moving away from that one-size-fits-all way of teaching.
That's right.
It's more about personalizing the learning.
Yes, exactly. It's about understanding each student's ZTD, and then teaching them in a way that makes sense for them.
So some students might do well with visuals.
Mm-hmm.
Others might
Love
need
it.
more hands-on stuff.
Yeah, and technology can be a big help there.
Oh, yeah.
Providing those personalized learning paths, different levels of scaffolding, different kinds of feedback.
Vygotsky would be so excited to see how technology can be used like that.
Oh, I think so, to strengthen those social connections and make learning more dynamic.
But his ideas aren't just for schools, are they?
Right.
I mean, the modern workplace, lifelong learning is becoming more and more important.
Yeah, definitely. And Vygotsky's work is relevant there too, instead of just throwing new employees in the deep end, right?
Companies are realizing that mentorship and coaching and, collaborative problem solving are really valuable.
Absolutely.
It's about creating those supportive environments
Right.
where employees can learn from each other, where they can experiment and improve their skills.
Yeah, and that's good for both the individual and the company
Yeah.
when employees feel supported in their learning.
Yeah. They're more engaged, they're more productive,
Uh,
and they're more likely to come up with new ideas.
exactly. It's like Vygotsky gave us the blueprint for building a culture of constant learning.
This has been a really great deep dive.
It has.
I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how learning works.
That's great.
It's amazing how Vygotsky's ideas are still so insightful, even though he wrote them almost 100 years ago.
It really is. It just shows you the power of his work.
His work reminds us that learning isn't something we do alone.
Yeah.
It's a collaborative process, and we all have the ability to learn and grow throughout our lives, and to help others do the same.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
So as you go about your day, think about how you can use these insights.
Yeah.
How can you create more opportunities to learn with others?
Uh-huh.
How can you use technology to make those connections stronger?
Right.
And maybe most importantly, how can you be that guide for someone else
Yes.
to help them along their own learning journey?
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Lev Vygotsky and that it inspires you to think differently about learning and to embrace its power in every part of your life.
Thanks for joining us, and keep those minds expanding.